everyone, welcome to a Kamen Rider speed paint. I did this commission for a friend of mine who wanted his internet persona drawn as a Kamen Rider character. For the first few moments, you're going to see me really struggling to kind of like find a pose that I was going to like. I tried to make this running pose. I tried to go with an iconic like Kamen Rider pose, like before I ended up setting on a different iconic Kamen Rider pose. But as you can see, I'm just trying to really like get like this perspective down on this pose, and it was just not working, so I ended up having to scrap it. And that's fine. That's fine. Art is a process, and sometimes things you initially thought you could do just like don't work. So like this is also the second pose I scrapped, and then I decided to go with this one. So on this you can actually see the reference that I was using. That is because ProCreate does have a reference tab, and I very actually rarely import reference images onto the canvas because it has this reference tab, but I wanted to import it because look at the reference. I did sketch over it to kind of like deconstruct parts before I actually decided to sketch out the build of the character itself. So, and you know, after that, I guess I was done with the reference so I could concentrate more on like the details, because I did get the body down, and so now I'm kind of designing the actual like armor and like clothing pieces that will go into this Kamen Rider OC. The thing about my friend's internet persona is that it is black and white, so it's very two-toned, but I did end up bringing some color in later, which we will see further in, but I did really want to emphasize on that contrast with that black and white. I ended up, you know, so a lot of the Kamen Rider suits are based off of like insects, specifically like ants. This is like me trying those like, fuzzy parts that are on ants. He didn't like it, so I ended up taking it off later, as you will see. But this ant, I believe it's called the panda ant, but I cannot remember its exact name. I will put it on screen. But I thought it was perfect for, you know, this kind of like two-toned character. If you're interested, I would recommend like kind of looking up that ant. I don't have it in here because it was something I had in the reference tab, and also I'm not sure if people would like to be jump scared with an ant. But right now in the illustration, I am working on the line art. I'm just like taking my time, making sure I get my lines really, really crisp, and you know, just wanting to make sure that everything looks as nice as possible before I do get into the full rendering process. I tried to have some defined muscle tone because a lot of the Kamen Rider main characters are very toned. For those who don't know, Kamen Rider is a Japanese TV show. It's for kids, but it has a lot of really good like messages, and they do have some of the series that are like more geared towards adults. Think Power Rangers, but like actually good and really cool. Kamen Rider actually did come out before Power Rangers, but I feel like a lot more people know what Power Rangers is versus what Kamen Rider is. I really like Kamen Rider. I used to watch it when I was like in high school. It's a very good show. I do recommend it. There's a variety of different like series. It's like they're all kind of connected to each other, but they have their own like standing like plot lines. It's almost like I guess like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in that aspect. And I don't know, it's a really good show. Here I am adding some more like details that I sketched in terms of like the armor. I'm using triangular pieces because the panda ant has some triangles going on. And this is me trying to add some detail to the eye pieces just so that it can have some texture. I really like how it came out in terms of the texture, and you know, like, oh, it'll eventually almost be like an overlay, so it's not so harsh, but this is, now I'm filling in all of the color now that the line art is done. I changed to a purple background because typically I work with gray backgrounds, but because this character is black and white, it was getting hard to see. So now that I can see better, you can see it's going a lot faster. And we're getting into the actual rendering steps. I did make the background a little bit darker. It's still purple, but again, this is so that I can see and it stands out, like the character stands out amongst the background. It is not going to stay purple. And you know, like, there's not really much to say about my rendering process. I just layer on colors and blend and blend and blend and layer more colors until I find something that is satisfactory. I like to kind of have a smooth blending experience that reminds me of almost like alcohol-based markers, but with a little bit more control. And, you know, just trying to like layer in those highlights and shadows, and I actually do go in with my shadows a little bit darker later on. My rendering process is typically 2 steps. I try to get my gradient rendering in, and when that is done, I go in and I add like things like drop shadows and lighting. I will always put that on top because there's always going to be a base level of like color variation on objects. And then when you have things like shadow and lighting, that is going to make it look different visually than just what the base color of something is. So really the rendering is to add like depth and shape and volume into the piece, while the lighting is supposed to give like almost as if the now visibly 3D object is put into a space, if that makes sense. Not sure if I am explaining quite well. I also went ahead and added some stitching onto the body suit, and I specifically made it black where the white clothing is and the white where the black clothing is so that it would stand out. And I did not add stitching to anything that I thought would be like made of hard material. As you can see, I'm adding in some red lighting. This was initially to be a YouTube thumbnail, so I thought red would be a perfect pop of color, considering red is the YouTube color. I'm also playing around with the background, as you can see, and currently adding detail to the belt, which is, the belt is typically kind of where this isn't the best explanation of it, but it's where the Kamen Rider, like, main character gets their powers and abilities to fight against enemies. They have, like, usually these really cool sequences, like, that they use to transform with the device that is usually attached to the belt, and it eventually goes onto their waist. I'm getting some more drop shadows in now. I am using a deep teal to contrast that bright red lighting. I really like how this came out, and I do end up making it go a little bit darker later. That just then was my watermark, so I could share it online. I like to share my commissions online, but I always put a watermark on them because the only person, whenever I do commission, that gets under unwatermarked work is the commissioner, except in the case of, obviously, this speed paint. And that is because they have paid me for it, so it is going to be their choice whether or not to share it with or without the watermark. You know, since they paid for it, like, I'm not gonna basically give it to other people for free. Now, we're adding in some more drop shadows. I decided to redo the kind of like top piece on the helmet. I actually struggled with this helmet a little bit just because trying to keep something round with depth is kind of difficult when it comes to things like a skull, and especially because you have to account for the fact that this person probably has ears under the helmet, so you have to account for like kind of the space. Helmets are going to be bigger than a skull, so you have to account for everything that's going to be fitting inside so that it looks proportional, almost as if it's like being worn comfortably. I'm not sure what I am and am not doing at this point in the render. I guess I'm doing detail work. Oh, I think I was working on the belt somewhere. I just didn't see. But yep, I'm working on some more lighting. There I am adjusting the helmet some more just to give it a little bit more depth. And I ended up making those sections on the helmet black so that they could stand out better and look better. And now I'm like actually making final adjustments to the background. I guess I did end up using that purple for the background. I thought I ended up using a different color, but now it's going in and adding details and texture and lighting that would make sense with the light that's coming onto the character. And that is, I put a little Easter egg into the belt itself. If you pause, I bet you can catch it, but it was something that me and the commissioner joked about. But yeah, this is the final piece. I like it. I really enjoyed working on it. I added some text just to kind of show what you can and can't, like what you could put on there in addition. Like I said, this was initially to be a YouTube thumbnail, so I wanted to leave plenty of space for the commissioner to work with it. But here it is for you guys to see now, and I hope you liked it. If you want to see more speed paints like this, make sure you like and subscribe, share with all of your friends and family. You can follow me on all my social media to see more art like this. I will be posting this with the watermark on my various social medias when this video goes up, so you can kind of get a little bit more of that detail and understanding of what I put into this art piece. There is a lot of detail that is lost in a YouTube video. If you want to join my Discord, the link will be in the description. It is an 18+ Discord server. And, you know, I stream on Wednesdays. I have my gaming videos now moved to Saturdays because I have some really fun stuff in the works for Fridays and I needed that space. Other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.